Hi everyone, today we are going to go over lesson 16 of Business Math B. The objective for this lesson is so you will be able to interpret the meaning of rate of response in an opinion survey, and you will also be able to compute annual sales potential of a product. So if you ever go to the mall and stores ask you to try out some kind of ice cream or cookie or anything like that, you will kind of understand what these terms are, or if you didn't know what the proper terms are, you will after this presentation. Market is the total number of people who might purchase a product. Opinion research firm is a business that specializes in product testing and opinion surveys. Opinion survey is a series of questions about a new product submitted to a panel of volunteers, you for example, when you go to the mall, to find out how well the products will sell. They'll ask you things like, do you like this, what could be changed, etc. That's opinion survey. Product test is asking a group of people to try out a new product in order to learn their opinions and gauge how likely the products will sell. Sales potential is an estimate of the sales volume of a product during a specified period of time. A sample, which is a selected group of people who are representative of a much larger group who try out a new product to find out how well the product will sell. For example, if they're trying to aim at your group, teenagers, for example, they'll select 20, 50 people and say that's what, you will represent the rest of the teenagers. So you would be a sample if they were to ask you to try something out. Alright, response rate. So response rate is at what percent did we get a certain response. The formula for that is number of times a particular response occurs divided by the total number of responses. So here's an example. Aaron's ice cream shop is test marketing new flavors of ice cream. The following responses were collected from 1,000 people who were offered samples of strawberry mango ice cream. They were asked the question, how would you rate the flavor? The results of the survey are below. What percent of the group surveyed considered strawberry mango ice cream to be delicious? Using the formula, we're going to plug in 1,000 for the denominator because the denominator says total number of responses. We surveyed 1,000 people. We got 1,000 responses. Question is asking for delicious. So 348 people said that. We're going to divide 348 by 1,000, giving us 0.348. We need to convert that into a percentage. That means we need to move the decimal 2 to the right, giving us 34.8% of people surveyed considered strawberry mango ice cream to be delicious. Now I want you to try one out on your own. Pause the video and then resume it when you are ready. Alright, for this one, same formula. The denominator is going to be 1,500 because there are 1,500 responses. Now this one says what percent of the group are likely to fly. So which options implies likely to fly? Definitely the first one. The second one as well because it says I'll try it again, but only if tickets are on sale. So if tickets are on sale, then they'll try it. So they are likely to try it again. Third option, I'll probably try it again over the next year. That means they are. The question does not say for sure flying again. It says likely. The only one that's not likely is the last one because if they said they don't like the airline. Alright, so we're going to add up those three options together, divided by 1,500, giving us 1,298 divided by 1,500. Answer 0.865. Convert that into percentage. That is 86.5%. Now we're going to do absolute and relative error. So when an opinion survey is conducted, the marketing department for Cold Stone, Starbucks, whatever, like to make a prediction or an estimate of the number of responses for a particular question. Question could be, how would you rate this drink? For example, from 1 to 5. They can make a prediction saying, oh yeah, a lot of people, they'll give a number, 100 people will rate this as a 5, etc. That is a prediction. Absolute error is the amount, it's a number, by which a prediction differs from the actual response. For example, if they predict 100 people will rate a 5 on a drink, but when they survey only 80 people said a 5, that means the absolute error is 20 because 100 minus 80 is 20. Relative error is the percent the absolute error is of the actual response. So that's a percentage. We would do 20 because that was the difference, and we would have divided that by 80 because only 80 people actually said 5, for example. Looking at this example right here, we're going to try it out. So there are 1,500 customers, same scenario as earlier, right? This time, the marketing department predicted that 700 people would say they love the airline. Let's determine the absolute error. So it's going to be prediction, which is 700. They predicted 700. The actual response is 624. That means the absolute error is going to be 76. If we wanted to find the relative error, we would take the absolute error, which is 76. We would divide that by the actual response. How many people actually said they love it? 624. You would type that into your calculator, and then you would get a decimal, and you would want to convert that into a percentage. So if you type that into your calculator, you should get 12.18%. That would be the relative error. Alright, so absolute error is a number. Relative error is a percent. So keep that in mind. I want you to try one out now. Pause the video, resume the video when you have an answer. Alright, first step, find the absolute error. So we have 450 as the prediction. The question says outstanding, right, which is 382. The absolute error is going to be 68. There's a difference of 68. Divide that, the 68, by the actual response, which is 382, giving us a relative error of 17.80%. That number is pretty high. 17.8% is pretty high. Alright, next, sales potential. So remember, if you own a business and you want to see how well a product will sell, you want to kind of take a survey and all that good stuff to give yourself a sales potential. See if it's worth selling the product or not. Alright, so the sales potential is an estimate of sales volume of a product during a specified period of time. So here's the formula. It's a pretty long formula. Annual sales potential is equal to the estimated market size times the individual rate of purchase times percent of potential purchasers. So here's an example. A food court at a mall had 800 teenagers test Blue Tropical, which is a new ice cream flavor. So 345 out of the 800 teenagers said they would buy Tropical if it was sold at the mall. Hawaiian's Tropical Ice Cream, which is the manufacturer of Blue Tropical, estimates that 840,000 teenagers regularly go to the mall. They also estimate that teenagers would buy Blue Tropical once a month. So we want to know what the annual sales potential would be. It's a lot of words. We're going to break it down. Alright, so what we need to do is find the percent of potential purchasers. So think about this. If we're asking 800 teenagers and 345 of them said they would, that would be 345 divided by 80, meaning we have approximately. Remember, please do not round. And if you do round, try to round to 5 or 6 numbers because you want to make sure it's accurate. Alright, so we're going to leave it at 0.43125 for now. That's not percent, but I don't want to convert it into percent because then we'd have to convert it back. So I'm keeping it easy for you. Next step is find the individual rate of purchase. The formula for that, well, it's just the number of times per year. So it says teenagers would buy Blue Tropical once a month. So if it's once a month, how many times is that in 1 year? 12 times. Because, there are 12 months in a year. Step 3 would be find the annual potential or sales potential. So we're going to plug it into that long formula we had earlier. Alright, estimated market size would be the 840,000 because that's how many they estimated, that's how many teenagers go to the mall. 12 is the individual rate of purchase, there are 12 times a year, and the percent of potential purchasers would be 0.43125 because only 345 out of the 800 samples said they would. Plug it into your calculator or multiply by hand, up to you. That means on average per year, 4,347,000 teenagers will buy Blue Tropical. Alright, I want you to try one out on your own now. Keep in mind this says weekly sales potential. So I'm going to give you a hint. Find the annual sales potential first and then divide it by how many weeks there are. Pause the video and then resume when you are ready. Alright, so all the steps are the same as earlier. It's just one extra step for this one. So we're going to start with step 1. Find the percent of potential purchasers. It mentions 684 out of the 1,200 teenagers would buy Blue Tropical, right? So then we have 684 divided by 1,200. This one's nice. It's 0.57, so not much rounding. Next step, find the individual rate. So it mentions that teenagers would buy it once a week. So how many times is that per year? We know that there are 52 weeks in a year. That means if it's once a week, that means there will be 52 times per year. Now plug that into the annual sales potential. We know there are 12,400 teenagers. I'm sorry, 12,400,000 teenagers that go to the mall regularly. Multiply that by 52 and multiply that by 0.57, giving us 367,536,000 per year. That's annual. Now we need to determine the weekly sales potential. So we divide that by 52, giving us 7,068,000. That means every week we expect 7,068,000 teenagers to buy by Blue Tropical. Alright, that's all that we have for today. If you have any questions on anything we discussed today, feel free to reach out to me.